Welcome everyone to the live stream. If anyone in the chat can hear me, can you please let me know if the volume is good, the sound is good, and if the screen is clear? I'll wait until I hear from somebody. Okay, I'm getting Adam, welcome to the chat. Thanks for letting me know that. Square Peg Divergent, thank you for also coming to the live stream. Yeah, I'm gonna try to make the screen bigger as I go through this. Hopefully it can be seen clearly. And so I hope everyone's doing well tonight. It's a little bit late here in Germany as it's about 11:42 p.m. In the United States, I'm sure it's still around 4 or 5. And I'm just going to wait for a few more people to jump on here. Right now it says we're at 10. And I just want to give a big shout out to Square Peg. She was saying that she was going to do a live stream, but she decided to come here and watch my stream. So I really appreciate her. Really love your information. So hopefully we can bounce stuff off each other and make some good finds here. And it looks like we got 12. Like I said, I'll wait about another 2 or 3 minutes, try to let some more people join. That way I don't get too far ahead. So yeah, it was a long day for me. I had a cookout with my girlfriend, with her friend here in Germany, and got started at this decode a bit late. So there's a lot of information I had to leave out. But I think I got the gist of it. I think you guys will see what I'm talking about. And Square Peg, if you, I made you a moderator. That way you can, I posted a link in the chat above. If you would be able to, if someone wants to join the stream, I can just let them have that link and they can actually get on and talk with me. So yeah, I'll get started. Welcome to the channel, everyone. If you're new here, if you're from Square Peg's channel, thank you for coming by. I really appreciate you all out here in the community, this community of amazing people. And so let's jump into this decode, and let me just give you a little of a brief reference of how I discovered this today. And it all started when I was looking at this NATO summit that is supposed to be happening on July 11th and 12th. So in a few days here. And so this got me thinking, right? So I was already thinking that July was going to be a month where money was big. You know, if any of you guys watch Waters Above Crypto, he's already made a lot of decodes about July and how it's tied to Julius Caesar and the money. And so I'm going to kind of preface this with why I was getting a clue from this summit, and then I'm going to show you all the information. Hopefully it's very clear and you guys understand. So the first thing is NATO is holding a summit on the 11th and 12th of July. So like I said, I think what's the day, the 8th? So in a few days. And it's going to be in I don't even know how to say this, guys, Vilnius, and it's the capital of Lithuania. And Lithuania is going to be, I'm going to make some interesting connections here as we go through, but basically the first thing I want you guys to notice is, if you guys don't know the cryptocurrency Ripple XRP. Now, a lot of you guys might know this currency. You might know that they're in a lawsuit right now against the SEC and have been in one since, December of 2020. And they're trying to decide right now in the courts if Ripple, the XRP, which is the cryptocurrency, is a currency or if it's a security. Now, a currency means that it's allowed to be traded without contracts, whereas a security, you have to have it's an investment contract. So Ripple is fighting in the courts right now to become a currency. And this whole decode revolves around water. We know the word current currency, Ripple, liquidity. These are all money terms, but these are also all water terms. So water and currency go hand in hand. And so let's just read through this. The summit will be held in context of the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine. And this is all about inviting the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, to this summit because Ukraine expressed the desire to be formally invited to NATO, okay? So Zelensky from Ukraine will be showing up, and basically, he will be showing up and he will be, giving the currency, it will be all about currency. I'm going to show you why. And if you look at the Ukrainian flag, you're going to know exactly why this is all about currency. Square Peg, you say you are Lithuanian. Wow, that is absolutely insane. Of course. And this is the chat that you're joining. Wow, that's blowing my mind. I almost lost my train of thought because you said that. Anyways, that is amazing. So anyway, but let me show you where this is going to be taking place. So this is going to be taking place in Vilnius, which used to be known as Vilna, okay? And this is the capital of Lithuania. Now, let's scroll down here and let's see what the name of this city is named after. The name of the city originates from the Vilnia River, which is the Lithuanian for ripple. Okay, guys, do you see this? This city that they're holding NATO in is essentially, the city's name means ripple. Ripple, a water, again, connecting to Ripple XRP, the cryptocurrency, who's currently fighting in the courts right now to become a currency. Okay. So again, just remember this throughout the whole decode, that this city where they're holding this summit is named after the Vilnia River, which is Lithuanian for the word ripple. Okay. So now we're going to tie this to Julius Caesar, and we're going to tie this whole charade that they're planning right now. So Julius Caesar, guys, most of you guys know who he is. He was born on July 12th, died on March 15th, the Ides of March, which was all about paying debts. And this is, again, going back to money. Julius Caesar was on the money. And if there's one most famous, Roman character in all of history, it's Julius Caesar. And he dies on the Ides of March, which is all about paying debts, which is all about money. And again, I'm going to tie this in a minute with all the rest of this stuff, but I just wanted to give a background on who this is if anyone didn't know. So let's keep going. The next thing, you guys are going to notice that Julius Caesar died on the Ides of March in 44 BC. So remember this number 44 because it's going to keep coming up. And then in 1944, kind of like Caesar died in 44, in 1944, there was the Bretton Woods Agreement. Now, this is where the United States and a bunch of other countries came together and decided, notice that it's 44 countries, guys, just like it was in 1944, just like Caesar died in 44 BC. Also, this summit in 1944 was held from July 1st to July 22nd, again in 1944. So what we're seeing here is this theme of this 44, both with Julius Caesar and with this Bretton Woods summit. And basically all this Bretton Woods summit was about was it made the US dollar convertible to gold, okay? Now this Bretton Woods was removed on August 15th, 1971. So the Bretton Woods currency was started in 44 and removed on August 15th, 1971. And I'm going to get to this August 15th date in just a moment, but this August 15th date is huge. Just so you guys know, August 15th is the Jesuit order's birthday. Okay, the Jesuit order, the Catholic Church, basically the Knights Templar of our modern age. This is their birthday. So of course the gold was, the Bretton Woods ended on their birthday in 1971. All right, guys, let's get into the gematria. This is where it gets interesting. All right, so you guys are going to notice that Julius Caesar was born on July 12th, which is coming up, right? And this summit that I talked to you about earlier in this decode that's happening in Lithuania is on his birthday, okay, on July 12th, on Julius Caesar's birthday. So he was born on the 193rd day of the year, Julius Caesar. And Julius Caesar was stabbed on March 15th, the Ides of March. Notice that the word stabbed or stab in Latin Gematria equals 193. So the guy that was born on the 193rd day was stabbed, which equals 193. Now, the Roman Catholic Church, which is all tied to Rome, basically is Rome, that equals 193. Okay, 193. Now, 193 is the 44th prime number. Julius Caesar dies in 44 BC. Okay, so Julius Caesar born on the 193rd day, that's the 44th prime, and he dies in 44 BC. Roman Catholic Church, 193, once again, the 44th prime. Now, he was stabbed on the 74th day of the year, okay? Notice that March 15th, the day he was supposedly stabbed, was the 74th day of the year. Now, stabbing equals 74. So Julius Caesar, once again, stabbed, and stabbing equals 74, and it happened on the 74th day of the year. Now, I told you that this summit that's happening in Lithuania, the name of the city means Ripple. And this is happening on Julius Caesar's birthday. Okay? They're having it in the city that's named after Ripple on Julius Caesar's birthday. So let's see how XRP ties in to this Caesar and this code here. So basically, Caesar being born on the 193rd day, which is the day the summit is being held, is the 44th prime number. In Latin Gematria, XRP equals 44. Now, currently, XRP is in a lawsuit where they're trying to get recognized as a currency, which is 44. Again, Julius Caesar died in 44, and he was born on the 44th prime day of the year. XRP 440 in Latin, which you drop the 0 in numerology, you get 44. Currency equals 44. Now, Ripple, here's a little description, guys. What is Ripple XRP? XRP and Ripple is a distributed ledger that is permissionless. They call this a permissionless distributed ledger. That's what XRP is. It's a permissionless distributed ledger. That equals 193. Okay? Just like Julius Caesar was born on the 193, and that's the 44th prime, XRP 44, currency 44. And what XRP is equals 193, which is the 44th prime number. So, with that being said, how is this tied to the Roman god Neptune? So this is all about Roman, right? So Neptune is the equivalent of Poseidon, okay? Neptune and Poseidon. Poseidon is the Greek equivalent of the Roman god Neptune. As you can see here, Neptune is the god of the sea, the god of the water. Poseidon is his Greek counterpart. Now, let's see from the day Julius Caesar, in a calendar year, from the day Julius Caesar was born, which is July 12th, is the 193 day of the year, okay? And March 15th was the day he died. In a calendar year, if you measure from the day that Caesar died to the day he was born on the calendar, it's 119 days. Now, I want you guys to notice that Poseidon equals 193, just like Julius Caesar was born on the 193rd day of the year. Poseidon, Julius Caesar, from his death date to his birth date is 119 days, and Poseidon equals 119. So you're going to see this Poseidon, because Poseidon is the god of the sea, the water, the ripple, the currency, all right? And so Julius Caesar perfectly scripted, and what an interesting number for him to be born and die 119 days apart, right? I just thought that was interesting, and that Poseidon equals 119, which is equivalent of Neptune. So again, guys, all about this 44 and 193. When 193 is the 44th prime. So I'm going to take a break here. Does anyone have anything cool? Let me read some of the chat here. Square peg, 1944 equals, yes, 2025. I see what you mean. And yes, Tauros, Caesar was the name of the chimpanzee in Planet of the Apes. And Ripple is based out of San Francisco. Where did Planet of the Apes take place? In San Francisco. Yes. And again, I'm going to get to this dolphins connection and the horses, but that's going to be later on in the decode. So let's see who else joined. If you guys haven't watched from the beginning, you might be a bit confused as I go through this, but just go back and watch from the beginning if you're confused. So anyways, let me keep going. So I told you that XRP is the cryptocurrency that is all about Ripple, right? Water, liquidity. As a matter of fact, they call their product on-demand liquidity. So again, another water term. And the company is named Ripple, which is another water term. So David Schwartz is the creator of the XRP ledger, or one of the creators, the most famous creator. Here he is. He's Jewish and he's German. I'll get to that in a minute. And just so you guys know that the city that this NATO thing is taking place is a very Jewish city, and David Schwartz is Jewish. And so basically this city where Vilna, and where this summit is taking place is it's completely Jewish if you go read about it. So, David Schwartz being Jewish, I don't believe is a coincidence here. So anyway, in the XRP community, there's a very famous phrase that they use. And that's because people think there's this theory that people think that one day because XRP supplies liquidity to banks, okay? So people who invest in XRP have this theory that if XRP is going to be used by the banks, there's going to be a moment that they call flip the switch moment. Okay, so you're going to see all these memes. They have all these memes, flip the switch. Even their CEO says flip the switch. Even David Schwartz himself has talked about flipping a switch, okay? And notice there's t-shirts that says flip the switch, all these different videos saying flip the switch. It's just a joke how much they use this phrase in the XRP community, the investment group, everyone that invests in this cryptocurrency. And I just want you guys to notice that flip the switch equals 193. And what was I just telling you about Julius Caesar and the 193? Okay. Now notice that David Schwartz, the guy who talks about flipping a switch, his name is a direct match to what he talks about all the time. David Schwartz and flip the switch, a direct match in two of the ciphers, not to mention he has the 193. Now, what about this 158? Well, this can be written like a date. What date is that, guys? Well, that's the 15th of August, 158, like flip the switch like David Schwartz. Well, when was gold taken off of the gold currency? It was taken off on 158, August 15th, like David Schwartz and flip the switch, both equal 158. This is back in 1971 when the gold standard was taken off of the US dollar. This was the reversal of the Bretton Woods moment that happened in 1944. So again, I don't think it's a coincidence that David Schwartz has the 193s. I just showed you all the 193s connected to this. And as we go through, it's just going to get more. All right. So this is what XRP uses as their plug to the banks. It's called on-demand liquidity. Again, another water reference. And what this does is it exchanges euros for you can exchange any currency and swap it instantly without having to go through any banks. It's an instant swap. All you do is trade your US dollars for your euros, and XRP is the middleman which transitions these currencies in an instant fashion, okay? And they call this on-demand liquidity. So on-demand liquidity, again, is a direct match to the very guy I've been talking about that they're having this summit on, Julius Caesar's birthday. All right. And again, on-demand liquidity and Julius Caesar's full name, Julius Gaius Caesar, a 2-cipher match. And not to mention, if you take out his middle name and just use Julius Caesar, you're going to get another match to Ripple. Okay. So again, I keep showing all these numbers that are showing this Julius Caesar connection to this Ripple connection. And again, this is a perfect example of this water reference and also this connection to Julius Caesar. Now, I told you guys that this summit is all about Ukraine. Now, Ukraine wants to be admitted or wants to be invited to this NATO conference or summit in Lithuania. And Lithuania, the name Lithuania, the city they're going to be in means Ripple in Lithuanian. All right. And the flag of Ukraine is the trident. All right. And Neptune, the Roman god of the sea, has the trident. And later this year, the movie's coming out called Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Now you can see his trident here. So we have all this trident reference. I believe this movie's coming out on December 20th. I think that's December 20th, this movie's coming out. I didn't put it here, but I'm pretty sure that's when it's coming out. But I want you guys, once again, to see the numbers here, all right? I just told you that the movie Lost Kingdom, you know, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is coming out. And it's, again, going right back to Julius Caesar and right back to David Swartz. Notice the similarities here. I mean, these aren't the exact match here, but it does have that Julius Caesar 139. And so, I mean, to me, this is, again, this movie coming out later this year is tied to this summit and tied to Ukraine, who's trying to join NATO. And of course, they're trying to do it in a city that's all about Ripple and water. So now let's get into this city. So the city where this summit, this NATO summit is being held is Vilnius. And it used to be known as Vilna. I'll get to that in a minute. But it's in Lithuania, okay? And Lithuania equals 95, okay? Like Neptune. I just told you all about Neptune and his trident above. And now you have Lithuania having a direct match to Neptune again. All right. And the city where it's being held, or the river, the Vilnia River, which the city is named after, the Vilnia also equals 95, like Lithuania, like Neptune. Okay. Now, if you guys have been watching my prior videos this month, I've been talking a lot about Baltimore, because Baltimore has had a bunch of deaths in this last month. Baltimore had 3 deaths tied to it. It had 2 players that used to play on the football team for Baltimore. They died. Okay. And then there was a shooting in Baltimore. And then right after all this Baltimore stuff happens, Baltimore equals 95. The NATO is going to Lithuania, which equals 95. And it's tied to the water, which is Neptune. And the city's named after the Vilnia, which is also 95. All right. So now this is where it gets interesting, because I told you that one of these Baltimore Ravens players who play on the Baltimore Ravens football team, he drowned in a rip current. Okay, so he drowned in water in Florida. And he was a Raven like Baltimore, like Neptune, who's the god of the sea. And he died. It says, well, it says there was no indication of a rip current, but either way, he's said to have drowned in the ocean. And look at the last game that this guy played. His name was Ryan Mallett. The last game that Ryan Mallett played in the NFL was against the Dolphins. The dolphin is the symbol of Neptune. Okay, 95, Neptune, like Baltimore, like Lithuania. The Dolphins are the symbols of Neptune. And Ryan Mallett died in Florida, where he played his last game. But he played this game in 2017, guys. And then he drowns in the same state he played his last game against. And he drowns in a huge Neptune ritual. Because, again, the dolphin is a symbol of Neptune. Now, Ryan Mallett died of drowning, which equals 40. Look at the final game he played. His team that he played for scored 40 points. He died of drowning, which equals 40. Okay, do you see that? The last game he played in 2017, his team scores 40 points, and then he dies of drowning, which equals 40, in the same state that he played, that his team played against. It's absolutely insane. And then, just to go farther with this Baltimore and Lithuania connection, notice that Baltimore and Lithuania are a direct match in all 4 base ciphers of Gematria. So this is also why Baltimore and Lithuania are in the news right now. So again, absolutely insane connection. This blew my mind. It still blows my mind to this day how this is so accurate. Dying in his last game was 40-0, and he dies of drowning, you know. So now let's talk more about this summit and how it's connected to XRP. I told you that he died of drowning, and his final game, his team scored 40. Well, what does Ripple equal, guys? It equals 40. And Julius Caesar. And this summit is taking place in Vilna. This used to be called Vilna, but now it's called Vilnius. But it used to be known in English as Vilna. Notice that Vilna is a direct match to XRP in 2 ciphers, 58 and 22. And again, this is tied to Ripple, who made the currency XRP. And again, it's just crazy that Vilna, the old name for the city, is a match to XRP also. And that Ripple and Julius Caesar, and this happens on Julius Caesar's birthday, this summit in Vilnia. And again, the city's name comes from the river, which means ripple in Lithuanian. So, and this final thing I want to just point out, guys. So I just told you that the summit is happening in Vilnia, where the Vilnia River is, which equals 139 and 58, just like the founder and creator of the XRP ledger, David Schwartz, 158, and flip the switch, which is the XRP phrase, flip the switch. And of course, Julius Caesar also tied to this. Notice that Julius Caesar matches Vilnia River. And, you know, it's just absolutely insane to me, some of these connections. I didn't even put everything I wanted to put in here because I ran out of time. But to be honest with you, I mean, this was about the best of the information that I had. And yeah, let's see what anyone has to add to the chat. See if anyone has any good addings to this. Let's see what we guys got here. Yes, and I forgot to mention, guys, July is named after Julius, you know, Julius Caesar. Let's see what Square Peg's saying. Neptune Beach, Florida. You have stuff relating to 2024. Yes, definitely look into that, Square Peg, because this Neptune thing in Florida is a huge ritual. Or it's such a huge riddle, whatever it is. Furkan, you say, who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Well, a lot of people, well, I believe Satoshi Nakamoto is a stage name for a CIA agent who created Bitcoin. But Satoshi Nakamoto is also tied to water because the Japanese thing is very famous for this painting, The Wave. And Satoshi Nakamoto, I believe, is also connected to liquidity and water. But at the same time, I believe that Satoshi Nakamoto is possibly CIA agents that created Bitcoin. It's a government creation, I believe. A lot of people think that Bitcoin is this free money it's free from government. But let's be honest, is there really any money that's free? Especially when I've seen how the markets are manipulated every day. And you guys, you have no idea how manipulated Bitcoin is. Do you know what the price of Bitcoin's price was a few days ago? It hit 315, 31,500. Well, that's tied to Julius Caesar. His birthday is coming up. And 315 is the Ides of March. That was when Julius Caesar died. Bitcoin hit a top at 315, 31,500. And then it fell by 193%. And when did Julius Caesar get born? He was born on the 193rd day of the year. So even in the Bitcoin chart, you can see these numbers playing out. I wish I could show you guys that here, but trust me, it's in the chart. So again, what's the chances that, Bitcoin hits the Julius Caesar numbers perfectly, on right before his birthday? And don't forget, guys, in WWE, which is the wrestling entertainment, they're currently having this Roman Reigns saga where his cousins betrayed him and he was on a trial court yesterday on Friday, and his name is Roman Reigns, and he's being put on trial just days before Julius Caesar's birthday. So again, WWE is so clear with how they do things. And the guy that betrayed Roman Reigns equals 95, like Neptune, by the way. So is there anyone that wants to join the chat, like actually talk with me here? I can add you to the chat and send you the link in the chat, and you can join here and we can you can add things, or we can have a talk. If anyone would like to do that, please let me know. Hey, Joseph, I knew you'd come in with a good one. 193, the 44th prime, Georgia Guidestones, 193. Yep, that's a good one. Of course, that's connected to Obama and the Georgia. Yeah, the 193 was a huge number in my decode. I don't know if you saw the whole decode, Joseph, but yeah, I remember that Georgia Guidestone. And that just happened. Oh, shoot. Actually, you know what, Joseph? Bitcoin hit 315 on the 1-year anniversary of the Georgia Guidestones coming down. And then it fell by 1.93% on the 1-year anniversary of the Georgia Guidestones falling. And the Georgia Guidestones were 193, 19 feet and 3 inches tall. So Bitcoin fell 1 year and it fell 193, just like the Guidestones were 193. What a joke. I just saw that today in the charts, and I'm sorry I didn't add that so you guys can actually visually see this. But if you guys go look up a Bitcoin chart, go look what happened to Bitcoin on July 6th. It fell 193% on the 1-year anniversary. Absolutely insane. So thanks for that ad, Joseph. That put another clue. So Square Peg, okay. Toro says there was 95 hours of oxygen in the submersible. I thought it was 96, but maybe it was 95. But that would make sense. Square Peg, did you want to join and add your own little additions to this or not? That's another thing I want to add. Once again, Joseph, he's bringing up the 201. The 201 is the 201 day of the year is July 20th. And Ripple is waiting for a summary judgment in their case against the SEC, and summary judgment equals 201. So don't be surprised if we see a summary judgment on the 201 day of the year for summary judgment equaling 201. Okay, Square Peg, do you want the link again? Here. Hold on, guys. I lost the link. Give me a minute. I'm going to put this link in the chat so Square Peg Divergent can join and we can get her on here. I just got to copy and paste it here for a minute. All right, so if you got it up, Square, you can just click the link whenever you're ready, and I'll add you into the chat. And you don't have to use your camera. I don't know if you're on your phone or you're on a computer, but you don't have to. My camera doesn't work. That's why I can't show my face. Yeah, Joseph, definitely whenever you're ready to come on, just let me know. I can just add you just like I'm doing Square Peg. Once you're in once you're in this room here, Square Peg, I'll be able to add you and turn you on. What's up, Madak Roughstock? Thank you for coming by again. He's a moderator. Actually, Joseph, I'm going to make you a moderator as well because I know you're trustworthy, of course. Yeah, so as we're getting ready to wait for Square Peg to join, if anyone has any other additions, I don't know how much of you guys saw this decode. I see Daria's in the chat. Welcome, Daria. You guys can always watch this decode. I already finished my decode, but you guys can always watch it back. But we're going to have Square Peg Divergent. Okay, I just seen you come up, Square Peg. I'm going to add you. Just a second. Okay, I just seen you come up, Square Peg. I'm going to add you. Just a second. Okay, I just seen you come up, Square Peg. I'm going to add you. Just a second. All right, it seems you're added there. I can hear you, but I can't hear you. I can hear your background.
I shouldn't have too much of a background going on right now. I just have my fan on.
All right, it seems you're added there. I can hear you. I think it's just the lag of me in the background.
I shouldn't have too much of a background going on right now. I just have my fan on.
It seems you're added there. I can hear you. I think it's just the lag of me in the background. I keep hearing my own voice.
Okay, I shut off. I shut the volume off on YouTube.
Yeah, there you go. You're perfect now. I can hear you.
Okay. So are you dropping off on YouTube and switching to this now?
I'm on YouTube on my phone, and I'm also on this stream on StreamYard at the same time.
At the same time, okay.
Yeah, I'm watching the comments from my phone live on YouTube, so I can keep up with the comments. It takes a bit of getting used to, but.
So is my voice coming in through YouTube?
Guys, will you let us know if you guys can hear her on YouTube? You should be able to hear her.
Thanks for helping us out with this tech stuff, guys.
Yeah. I'm just now getting better at this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess they can. That's cool.
Okay, loud and clear. So anyways, welcome, Square Peg. I'm very happy to have you on. And
yes, it's exciting. It's interesting. Your stuff is so interesting. It's like it overlaps with my stuff, and yet it's not the same. So like between the two of us, it makes a bigger picture, a more clear picture, which is super cool.
Yeah, every time I watch your videos, you're always like almost in the same topics as me, but you're you're not doing it the same way. So it's just crazy. Even from the first video I watched of you, when the first connection we had, we found something about August 18th this year, I believe. Yep. And of course, now we're getting very close to that date, so I guess we'll see. But
yeah, it was funny to me too when I first heard about your channel and I came to check it out. I was like, he's covering the same exact topics I am. You were like 2 weeks ahead of me. Like the stuff that I was doing that day, you had covered 2 weeks prior, and I was like, this is weird.
Yeah, that was right around the Super Bowl, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that time of the year, the Super Bowl time, is everyone's going to these decodes. It's more. There's a lot of stuff going on around that time. There's a lot of people coming to these type of channels and looking for this stuff because the football stuff is really, it gets people really excited, I guess, about all this. And that was the time of year I had like the most views and the most engagement and everything. So yeah,
it's almost like the Super Bowl is more interesting for the coding than it is for the football.
Yeah. Absolutely. The Super Bowl, I love decoding the Super Bowl. I've done it now 2 years on my channel because I started my channel right before Super Bowl 56, which was 2 years ago. And I've done 56 and 57 now. And Yeah, it's my favorite time of the year to decode for sure. There's so much going on. It's all tied with the football.
Hey, so what? I just remembered what February 10th is from yesterday or the couple days ago. I was trying to remember what. Anyway, so what Super Bowl was this year?
57.
57. So next year is going to be 58, and X plus R plus P is 58.
Yep.
And 58 is Cerium on the periodic table, which is tied to Ceres, the goddess of agriculture, which her festival every year started with a horse race. So there's horses, which brings in Poseidon and the trident and all that stuff. Fascinating.
Right. Yeah. My girlfriend, who's also a big decoder, she's not in the chat right now. She's sleeping. She couldn't stay up this late, but she.
I wonder what time it was over there.
Yeah, it's over. It's past midnight here, but I get so excited with information I can stay up all night. But
yeah, me too.
She mentioned that too about the 58 Super Bowl and XRP equaling 58.
Mm-hmm.
And this number also, David Schwartz, the founder of the XRP ledger, equals 158. And there's this 58 number keeps coming up lately, especially this when you're talking about XRP, it's always coming up. And I think that's also why Baltimore and Lithuania, I believe, also both equal 58. I'm really looking at Baltimore for the Super Bowl this year. Of course, we're going to have to wait and see what happens, but there's definitely been enough clues so far this year for Baltimore.
And that reminds me of, because that's the Ravens, right? Baltimore Ravens?
Yes, the Ravens, yep.
So the iPet goat thing, I'm sorry, I just said that on YouTube, didn't I? Dang it.
Yeah.
That has the dancer there that changes costumes, and at one point it's a bear, and then at another point it's a raven.
Yes, yep. Yeah, I remember that part, and I really think that's either. See, there's another decoder on YouTube. I'm not sure you're familiar with him. He's the guy that created the calculator, Gematria 85. And he showed that there's actually a really big riddle for Baltimore to make it to Super Bowl 59, which would be in 2025. But Zach from Gematria Effect News, who is the guy that, he's one of the biggest guys in the community, he shows that he thinks Baltimore is going to make it in Super Bowl 58. So I don't know. Does Baltimore make it 2 years in a row? Because remember, Baltimore was in the Super Bowl the year of 9/11. And so Baltimore being in the Super Bowl might not be a great sign, and winning the Super Bowl. So
it might be next. It might be this coming one, because I'm seeing the big wave event for this coming spring, like a big major event this coming spring.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and that Cali dancer also has the shark fins that come up from the floor.
Yep. And a lot of sharks.
The Chicago Bears and the Baltimore Ravens, could they play each other in the Super Bowl?
Yes, they could. Mm-hmm. I mean, that would be interesting. Does the Bears are really connected? Yeah, that's interesting. I never even thought about the Bears. I was looking at the Lions, because what's interesting about the Lions is that I was doing a whole decode the other day about how Lions are tied to Ford, and anything that's tied to Ford is tied to presidents dying, because you got Ford's Theater, you got Ford Lincoln where Kennedy died, you've got Ford Field in Detroit, and on 8/5, WWE is holding an event at Ford Field, and then the very first game of the NFL season this year features the Chiefs, who won last year's Super Bowl, against the Detroit Lions. And it's interesting that they chose the Detroit Lions, because the Lions also, well, it's a ritual for King Charles, I believe, as well. But, because King Charles is KC, and then the lion is kind of like, I kind of look at King Charles as kind of like an anti-Jesus Christ character, because Queen Elizabeth was kind of like the Antichrist Mary. And then you have kind of like this, son of Mary, King Charles, which he has a couple connections to Jesus Christ and a few ciphers as well. So, and Jesus Christ is known as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. So there's a lot of different connections there, but also, the Tigers and the Lions, it could also be the Bengals again too. I just keep seeing a lot, but I haven't quite honed in on who might make it, in the AFC and the NFCs. The Ravens are the ones we're getting a lot of clues for. That's for sure.
Who are horses?
The Colts and the Broncos.
The Baltimore Colts?
Well, yeah, that's the
Or
thing is.
Indianapolis now.
Well, yeah, that's what's interesting is that.
Oh, that's super interesting.
Yeah, because if Baltimore is really Baltimore, the original team was the horse team, the Colts.
So could they play each other? The Colts
No,
versus the Ravens?
they
Or on
can.
the same league? Okay.
They're in the same league.
That's super interesting.
So I'm wondering if something like this happens because we have riddles for Baltimore in both years the next 2 years. I'm wondering if it's the Colts one year and the Ravens another year.
Could be, right? Yeah, I was just thinking that too.
Because the Colts just drafted a very young, good quarterback that's, I don't really believe. I know for me, I feel like I don't know how good he actually is, but I mean, they were hyping him up like he could lead them to the promised land. So who knows? I think the Colts definitely make it in the next couple years. And the Colts are the 201 city. Indianapolis equals 201, like the Jesuit order. So, and the quarterback for Baltimore Ravens right now, the highest paid quarterback in the league is Lamar Demetrius Jackson. He equals 201. And, Baltimore is hugely connected to the Catholic Church because I think Baltimore has the oldest Catholic cathedral in the United States. And the only game the Queen ever visited in the United States, the only American football game Queen Elizabeth ever attended was in Maryland. Of course.
No kidding. Maryland,
yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Of course, and her middle name is Mary, and she's representative of Mary. In my opinion, that's what she represents in a lot of these different rituals they do. So it was the only football game she ever watched was Maryland.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting year. Whatever happens, I'm sure we'll have plenty of stuff to talk about as usual.
Twins equals 85.
Yes, it does. That
I'm looking through my Indianapolis notes here.
Yeah, Indianapolis. I'm hugely tied to Indianapolis too. I was a huge Colts fan growing up.
Yeah.
And the Colts were my favorite team. I grew up watching Peyton Manning, number 18. He was my favorite player. And then something interesting happened with Indianapolis. After Peyton Manning left and went to the Broncos, the other horse team, they drafted a young quarterback named Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck retired early, and everyone thought he was going to go on to become a Hall of Famer. And like in 2019 or something like that, he just retired abruptly out of the blue. And ever since, the Colts have not been able to find a quarterback to replace him until maybe this year. So it's interesting.
Could the Broncos play the Ravens?
No, they're in the same division as well.
Okay.
Yeah, the Bears is a possibility for sure. That's the one you mentioned.
Yeah, because those are the ones that the costumes that the Cali dancer wears as it's dancing in the goat cartoon.
Yeah, the bear and the raven. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's really.
There was a whole bunch of FIFA stuff in that too. So that's football of a different kind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good observation. I didn't even think about the Bears. And Joseph in the chat, he would love that connection with Obama because Obama is from Chicago and he's a Bears fan, I believe.
Bears. Dub Bears. I should look up when that skit started. What date that Dub Bears? When did that first come out on SNL?
Oh, I think that was
Land Shark. Land Shark was part of my shark decoding. So
I think the Bears was a 1985 thing.
85.
Plus. I think. But I'm not sure on that 100%.
Huh.
I could probably actually look up. I keep forgetting I have a computer right here.
Yeah, it's hard for me to look things up while I'm doing a live show, though. So I always say, I'll look it up after this,
Yeah, plus my computer is a dinosaur, and if I open up too much stuff, it just lags.
Bogs down, yeah.
So let me see here. There's a skit on SNL. It definitely looks like it's old. It could definitely be 1985.
Yeah, like 85, because that's 58. So we're talking about the 85 and the 58 right now. You've mentioned a couple 85s. Who is the other YouTuber who's Gematria 85 or
The guy who created, the guy who created the calculator that I use, that most everyone uses, Derek, his channel is called Gematrinator 85. I think there's a reason why he used that, because matrix equals 85. So does script. Script and matrix both equal 85. So, and actually Rambo, the other decoder that's big in the community, he just took down his channel, apparently.
He did?
Yeah, I thought it was deleted, but somebody in my comments told me that Rambo said in his Discord, or not his Discord, but his Patreon, that he just took it down because it was some sort of pressures on him. I don't know why, but I just hope he's well. I don't want. I mean, it's I just hope Rambo's okay and everything. I mean, his information was great, but if it was affecting him mentally and he just couldn't do it anymore, then I understand that.
Well, if he's on Discord, maybe he just decided to switch over, like just not do YouTube anymore. It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely possible. I mean, like I said, I don't have any direct contact with Rambo. I was actually talking to him about, I was actually commenting on one of his videos. The last video he did was about the Ravens. And I commented on that video, and he gave me we were bouncing stuff off each other in his comments. So yeah, I use Rambo's videos on a weekly basis to find more research for myself. So yeah, but yeah, anyway, Rambo, he talks a lot about the 85. He starts out a lot of his videos showing that script and matrix are a direct match on all four ciphers in all four ciphers, and both equal 85. So definitely interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious about the dates, that's because that's what I do, because I've just been looking at the 71 being connected to 25. So I was running through 1944 Bretton Woods and 1971 Nixon shock, and it's bringing me to 25. So I was running pi and phi through every combination, trying to come up with 23. And I wasn't finding it just now, but it's possible. It's hard for me to remember what I've done already. Like, what did I do 8 months ago that showed math? I don't remember it. So I have to do the math all over again. And so I'm like trying to come up with 23, and it's not coming up. I'm only getting 25. So, or later.
What's interesting, my girlfriend showed me something today. If you just type the years into Google, literally just type the year 2023 with nothing else, 2024, 2025, just do each year.
Sure.
The first year that comes up, the first 2 years you type in 2023 and 2024, the only images that you get initially when you type that in on Google is just like FIFA the Olympics in 2024. That's the only images that really come up. And then if you type in 2025, it gets strange, because as soon as you type in 2025, and you look at images immediately, you're going to see all this really crazy stuff. I just saw a video today, or this thing today. The movie was called Blood, White, and Blue. And it was about Donald Trump. It doesn't mention Donald Trump in the preview, but it has his voice in there, and it has like this purge, the movie Purge.
Yeah.
And it's literally blood, white, and blue, as in blood is like red, so that's why they called it that. And yeah, it looks crazy, to be honest with you. Like and then if you just scroll down the pictures in 2025, you're going to see a whole ton of stuff. Like, I don't know, I thought that was interesting when she showed me that. I was like,
I don't use Google, so I just did it on mine, and the first 3 images I have are movies. 2025. 2 of them are just called 2025, and one of them is called Lockdown 2025.
Right, that's released by Amazon. Lockdown 2025. It's about another virus, I believe.
Oh hell.
Because Zach on Gematria Effect News has covered that a lot, about that movie Lockdown 2025, and how 2025 just may be when they try to do another what.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cough.
Yeah. And I've talked about that before as far as Eastern equine encephalitis, because that E is 5, that's 555, and it's got the horse reference in there, and it's got the brainstem issue. That's like where that affects the body is in the brainstem. And then Ceres, the goddess of agriculture, there was a bunch of stuff that I had found attached to the brain. I can't remember now. It was a while ago that I covered Ceres.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never really looked into that, but that's a good ad. I'll definitely do my own research on that, because I didn't even think about that at all ever in my research. It's just amazing. You're always researching so much stuff, and then you finally you think about something and you're like, oh man, all this time I could have been using that.
Right. And you watch somebody else and they've got like something perfectly obvious that never occurred to you, and like, oh my gosh, I wish I thought of that. That would have fitted in perfect, you know?
Right.
So it's like your decode is never done. You know, like you feel like you've got the presentation, and then you're always finding more things to add to it. So you circle back, you know, as you find new things.
Yeah, that's what I did tonight. You know, I was really trying to get this done and finished and make sure it was like I wanted it, but like I wasn't able to get it all done. I was doing a cookout earlier, and then I was just cooking for people on the grill, which was good, you know, but then everything got pushed back, and so I was lucky to even be able to get this decode out today, honestly. But yeah, I got it done. So.
Oh, this is interesting. I just see Arakel Toros says Raven and switching the B and the V. You know, switching out the V's for B's. You've got, you know, brings you to Rabbi.
Yeah.
And actually, the former Mrs. White House, Obummers.
Yeah.
They have a relative that's a rabbi, and I don't remember if they became a rabbi or if their name is actually rabbi, but whenever I see that word now, I always think of that person.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. There was some interesting stuff I found. Well, that's another Robin. You know, you've got the current egg office person whose middle name has the Robin in it. But then Mrs. Obummer, her maiden name has the Robin in it as well.
Oh, it does it?
Yeah. Son of a Robin. Yes. She, whatever. Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I that Robin, you know, I also made that connection back during the Super Bowl when Rihanna was singing, because her name is Robin.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that.
It's not spelled the same. I think it's spelled with like a Y or something.
Okay.
I can't remember. But
I've had birds all over everything. Almost everything I look at has a bird attached to it, some bird or other. It's very weird.
Yeah, the birds are big right now, especially the ravens. Like I just keep seeing so much stuff for the raven, you know, and all this. I don't even know, like the raven and the robin, and I keep thinking about all these different birds. And
yeah, the raven and the robin, because it's very similar. Again, switching out the V's and B's.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and like I said, the Ravens are a super ritualized team, and just in general, like
I think they all are, aren't they?
Well, they all are, but it just seems like the Ravens, because they had that blackout Super Bowl. That's why I always think about that. Plus, they were in the Super Bowl. They beat the New York team before the New York 9/11, you know, and then they beat the New York Giants, and then the Giant Towers fell in New York, you know. But and then in 2013, which I showed in my Snake Year decode. If anyone hasn't watched my Snake Year, I think it's some of my best puzzle pieces, because I went through every Snake Year and I found like these events with these blackouts. And then obviously 2001 was a Snake Year, and then that's 9/11. And then in 2013, you had all this talk about power grid going down. And 2013 was a Snake Year, and around the same time of the Super Bowl, where there was a power outage at the Super Bowl, which the Ravens played in, there was the director of Homeland Security also came out just days before that Super Bowl and the blackout at the Super Bowl, and she said that the next 9/11 is a power grid. We have to get our cyber stuff up, because the next 9/11 is a power grid failure. And they detailed like a couple different ways that it could happen. They said it could happen with a cyber attack or with a solar flare or with a or the grid itself could just fail because it's old. They even said, And then last year we had these attacks on the power grid, like people were supposedly shooting bullets at the grid and knocking power out in places. So I don't know. It's just 2025 that it kept pointing me to this blackout thing that year, and yeah, I just got a lot more research to do on that, but we got a little ways to go before that. I'm trying to focus now on the rest of this year and then 2024.
Yeah, I've been talking recently about why events don't happen when it seems like they should based on the dates. And because if they're connected to each other, then they affect each other as far as when a matching event will happen.
Right.
So they'll pull each other away from the dates that you would expect to find them to a different date. So like a bunch of stuff that I was seeing for this year, I think perhaps might get pulled into a major event next spring, the big boat, big wave event.
Yeah, and that Great American Eclipse is big.
Yeah. And that's April 8th, is that right?
April yes. 8th. Yes.
What day of the year is April 8th?
It's next year. It's the 99th day of the year next year because it's a leap year.
Right, because it's a leap year. 99 red balloons.
Yep, and the 99 is Jupiter.
Aha.
Jupiter 99 in Gematria. And 99 is, it's the two nines. 9 is like this. I look at 9 as being kind of like because there's some sort of mathematical thing where you can add 9 to anything and you'll get back to 9 or something like that. I can't remember what that is, but
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you got the two nines, and then could be flipped upside down and be a 6-6 as well. But that's just getting creative with it. But 99, the 99th day of the year is interesting that eclipse is occurring on that day.
Yeah.
And then later this year, you got the Friday the 13th later this year, and that comes on October 13th. Friday the 13th, and then the next day is a lunar or solar eclipse, the 14th.
October 13th is the 286th day of the year. This year.
Yeah. And this October is big. I've been seeing a lot of connections to Halloween also because Baltimore is a direct match to Halloween in all 4 ciphers.
Oh, yeah.
And if you go, so Halloween and Baltimore are a direct match. And if you go from the deaths or the birthdays of the because the 2 Baltimore Ravens players that died this year in June, they were born on the same day, supposedly, June 5th. And they both died in June, later on in June. They both were born on the same day. And then if you go from that day where the Baltimore team, the 2 players died connected to Baltimore, and you go to Halloween, which again, Baltimore and Halloween, a direct match in all 4, you get 148 days. And one of the numbers that Baltimore and Halloween both equal is 148.
What were the 2 dates of the players that died? What dates did they die on?
Ray Lewis III, who's the son of the famous Ray Lewis Raven who played in 2001 Super Bowl, he died on June 15th. And the Ryan Mallett, who drowned in Florida, died on the 27th.
12 days difference.
Yeah, 12 days. I mean, and then you had a shooting in Baltimore on the 1st of July, I believe.
61 days plus after the second one. So the 27th of June plus 61 days. What's that? Let me see. 27th is day 178. 61 is day 239, which is August 27th. I don't know. And that's just multiplying the difference 12 times pi times pi.
Oh, you're saying 61 days from
61 days from, yeah. I suppose you could do it from the first one, either one. Like, so if you added 61 to the 15th of June, try that one instead.
Well, what's interesting about the 27th, because if you do 61 days from June 27th, you get August 27th.
Oh my gosh, if you add it to June 15th, it's day 227. 22 divided by 7 is pi.
Is it what you mean July 22nd?
That's August 15th, dude.
Oh, August 15th. Yeah, you're right.
Which is the Nixon shock day.
Yeah, the Jesuits' birthday also.
Interesting. So I mean, I'm going to say that's a day that's connected.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, that day looks
3 different ways it's connected. So yeah.
That day looks huge in general because that's the 138 days left. That's the Phoenix event, the Jason.
Yeah.
That's the pi day.
That's May 18th and August 15th. One of them is phi and the other one's pi. Like 13 divided by 8 is phi and 22 divided by 7 is pi. And they're the 138th and the 227th days of the year.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So June 15th plus 61 days is August 15th, which was the Nixon shock, and it is this day 227. And I got the 61 days by multiplying the difference between the two guys who died in June, that's 12 days, times pi times phi.
I see. Yeah.
And it's 61 almost. It's like 60.8 or something like that.
Yeah, I can't. Because I talked about that date here in this decode,
Yeah, exactly. So I just added my little curvature equation to it, and there you go. You take those two guys' deaths, and it gives you August 15th through curvature equation.
Yeah, this person in the chat, I don't know if Toros watched my last video, but what's really interesting about this pi thing too is that, that the Korean president sang American Pie to Joe Biden on April 26th. And if you go 3 months and 14 days since he sang American Pie, it's 8/9. And that's the day I've been talking about. And also, if you type in American Pie, as in American PI, it equals 89.
That was April 26th.
That's
the upside down and reverse 911. It's the 116th day of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Which was 3 days after the dragon burning ritual in Disney.
Oh, I remember that. I didn't really look into that, but I remember it.
Well, the wood dragon year is the next Chinese New Year, starts on February 10th.
Oh, yeah, you're right. And I talked about that day a lot last year because February 10th is a huge day for the vice president because that was the day in history that the bill was signed. Forget what it is, but it was the day in history that they actually wrote into the United States that a vice president, what happens when a president dies and a vice president replaces them on 2/10.
The 25th is it amendment? 25th Amendment when they determined that?
Yeah, I think that's right. 25th Amendment.
It was in the 60s sometime.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I can't remember the exact date, but I know it was tied to that 2/10 because I was thinking something might happen with Kamala on 2/11 because if she would have become president, she would be 47th, and 2/11 is the 47th prime. So I was really looking at that, but now what I got up on the screen here is from that date where he sang American Pie to 8/9, right? And you'll notice that if I do the months and the days, it's 3/14 like pi to 8/9. And then if you type in Gematria, if you type in American PI, it equals 89. So I just thought that was super interesting. And the thing is, the next day of the year on August 10th is the 222 day of the year. And Kamala Harris has this 222 connection all over her. She has, if you type in Vice President Harris, it equals 222. If you type in President Harris, it equals 222. And if you type in President Kamala Harris, it equals 222. She has 3 different ways you can type out her name that it comes to that number. So if she became president on that day, it would be absolute craziness.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. What's also interesting about the fact that he sang American Pie on that day is also it's not only pi from that day to 8/9, it's also 105 days. Well, 105 day is the day that Lincoln was shot. He was shot on the 105th day of the year.
Oh, okay.
Or no, sorry, he died on the 105th day of the year. So
the next day, yeah.
Yep, and that would be 116 days before 8/9, just like it was 116 day where he sang American Pie. So that's why I'm really looking at 8/9, because that's just right after the Ford event in WWE. And this Ford thing, it's just really interesting. I was all over this Ford thing last week. And yeah, but I guess we'll see coming up soon.
Yeah, and I'm curious about the wood dragon, and then also whatever event is supposed to be coming later, like a month or two later, because one of my decodes landed on Pi Day of next year, and also like the same decode gave me 2 dates, and one of them was Pi Day, and the other one was 8 days later, which is March 22nd.
Oh, well, that's a pretty infamous day as well.
Right. I didn't want to say it out loud, you know.
Yeah, I know what you meant. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's also connecting to the Ides of March thing. I mean, that's that time of the year.
Yeah, that time of year. Yeah, exactly. A lot of things.
And then you got St. Patrick's Day in that time period as well. And that obviously ties to Biden in his Irish heritage.
Actually, I heard that he's not Irish.
Really?
Yeah. Is that right? Yeah, he's Catholic, but he's not Irish. I thought he was.
Well, the weird thing is that then they've been saying all over the news, because he visited they said in the news around the time of he visited his home town of County Mayo, that he visited the Marian shrine that's there, where supposedly people in the past saw an apparition of Mary and 2 other apostles. And they called it the Marian, or the Knock Shrine, the Shrine of Knock or something. And Biden was there on 144 day, which President Biden equals 144. That was also the day Lincoln was shot. And he basically was there touching this Marian shrine. And I believe it was also tied to Queen Elizabeth, who was representative of Mary as well. But yeah, that supposedly that is his home country, County Mayo. If you actually look into his family, there's
it says Irish descent. So I don't know who it was that told me he wasn't Irish, because he is. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's interesting is this year is a rabbit year, and the same thing that happened, what happened in the rabbit year in 1963?
Yes. Actually, it's water rabbit years all the way back as far as I looked.
Really?
Yeah, major 2 asses and nations in water rabbit years. Yep.
Huh. Well, one guy in my comments today shared something very interesting. He said that JFK visited Ireland also, like Biden, in the rabbit year in 1963, and 150 days later, what happened? Well, 150 days after Biden visited would bring you to 9/9, one day after the Queen's first anniversary of her death.
And it's the 99 again, the 99 red balloon.
9/9. Yeah. And I'm really looking at September 17th as well, because that is the next 152-day Biden cycle, which I don't know if you've been following that, but
yeah.
And that's also Patrick Mahomes' birthday, the Super Bowl MVP, and his name equals 152, and that's the next Biden 152-day cycle. And that's the last day of the Jubilee.
9/17 is?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a day. I mean, if you're really looking for a reset of the world, and you're saying that we've been in this Jubilee for 50 years now, and we're about ready to start another 50 years, that's the last day of the 50 years before 9/18, which would be the first day of the next 50-year Jubilee.
And September 18th is 261, and there's the 162 has been coming up a lot, and 216, those 3 numbers, 2 and 6 and 1, scrambled up in all kinds of ways. It keeps popping up for me, and that's September 18th.
Yeah, and September 18th is also the day that they released. Okay, so there was this Economist magazine, and it was about cryptocurrency, but it had the Alice in Wonderland and the rabbit symbolism on it.
I thought that came out on December 31st of that year. That one with Alice.
It was, from what I remember, it was 9/18/2021, I believe.
Huh. No, that one's way older than that. Maybe we're talking about two different Economist covers.
Yeah, it might be, because there's probably another one too. That's involves a rabbit, and at the time when that year in 2021, I wasn't even that good of a decoder probably back then. Who knows if I even am now? But at that point, I didn't even really know about the rabbit year being this year, so I didn't even know to look.
Sure.
I didn't even think about that back then. But now that I'm looking back, it was definitely a sign, because it was. I think the title was like "The Perils of Decentralized Finance," and it had all these coins jumping down a hole, right?
Oh shoot.
And it was on 9/18 they released that. And what was interesting is the Queen, her funeral ended up being pretty much exactly a year later. And I kind of got this vibe that Queen Elizabeth was being kind of also compared to Alice in Wonderland. Like, I don't know why I got that feeling, but it was kind of like I kept seeing this stuff back then. Of course, I don't really remember it now, but yeah, there's definitely a tie to Alice in Wonderland this year, since we're in the rabbit year.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, lots of rabbits connected. Roger Rabbit, because I've been looking at the twins thing, and all the double-lettered names, the matching.
Yeah.
Like Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, and all of them. They're just everywhere right now because they're pushing the digital twin thing. So you've got all these twinned names, twin-letter names. So Roger Rabbit was one of them that I was looking at. And Roger Rabbit, what they can do is draw themselves a real boy,
Right, yeah.
They're already fake, and they want to become a real boy. It's an ongoing theme with Pinocchio and that movie AI and
that. Yeah, I mean, I keep seeing that too. Those double names with the same, the twin stuff.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. It's crazy.
Like I even like today, I was looking at Donald Duck.
Right.
I was like, okay, and obviously that seems like something with could be something with Trump too. But I was looking at that and I didn't see anything right off the bat tied to Trump. But his name's Donald, so
Sure.
And Kamala Harris. I don't know if everyone knows this, but Kamala Harris's dad's name is Donald J.
I didn't know that.
And in the movie 2025 that I told you about, that's called Blood, Red, and Blue, there's Trump's voice, and he's like leading the thing, and the character that plays him's name, well, he plays the character's name is Donald. The other character that plays the other character, I guess that's against him, is Harris.
Huh.
Yeah. So I'm really looking, I wonder if Harris and Donald are going to get into it, because Harris's dad's name is Donald J. Like, I don't know. It's something interesting.
Yeah. And I was just noticing the song Simon and Garfunkel, Mrs. Robinson, Goo Goo Choo. And that song came out in 1968, and 68 is connected to 28. So I would be curious about, because there's this buzz that's bubbling up about Mrs. Obama running for the egg office position, and I wonder if maybe that might happen in 28, which is 60 years out from 68 to 28. So we might see that person running for that year. Mrs. Robinson.
I had not heard anything about that.
No, you haven't? Oh,
no.
And that's what I said. It's just starting to bubble up. I've heard it here and there. Just every once in a while, that name will pop up as a potential candidate, and I'm like, oh, hell no. But
yeah, at this point, he, or should I say maybe he or she, I don't know, but is pretty much, it's pretty much like the laughing. There's even like big Twitter people who probably are just like, I don't know how many followers they have, but they're always posting stuff about, her being a he, and then everyone in the chat is pretty much agreeing. So I think everyone pretty much sees clearly. I mean,
not my boss. I tell you what, she told me to get out of my car when I happened to say Big Mike one day. She turned and looked at me deadpan and she said, "Get out of my car."
Oh, really?
So I did, and I never mentioned it again.
So you did, yeah. I mean, yeah, if people can't see it and she wants you to leave, then if you love that person so much that makes you so upset, then.
Oh yeah, she was upset. She does love that person very much. Yes.
It's just amazing how they get these people so in love with these icons, it's just such an energy. Yeah.
It's a character, it's just another character and another story. Like, why are you so invested in, not like they're real, like, people. I'm not saying that they're not real people, but they are real people, but they're playing a character. So there's no sense in getting invested in it. It's like being in a soap opera,
Yeah, I mean, it's the world is a stage, and I just, you get stuck into that when you grow up and you're surrounded by football and all these other things that pull you into it, and then you're like, and you're stuck in this energy of like, I got to give all my energy to these scripts that I see on my sports, and then that floods over into the politics, and then I just know how I used to be with my Indianapolis Colts too. I used to get so upset when they lost. So
I dated a guy in college who's from Baltimore, and he was a huge Baltimore Colts fan, and he was just devastated and crushed when they escaped in the middle of the night and just left town.
Oh, yeah.
It was really a crushing blow for him as a young man.
Well, there's something definitely interesting going on with that, because that's happened twice with connections with Baltimore. You had Baltimore leave Baltimore and go to Indianapolis, and then to create a new Baltimore team, they had to take the Cleveland Browns and take them to Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
So then you had to recreate the Browns team again. So there was this like Russian roulette of these Cleveland, Indianapolis, and Baltimore teams moving around. So now and that's another interesting one that could, if they're connected to Baltimore, the Browns could also, make some noise, and that would be interesting.
Here's another one for you, the Titans, because we've got the Titan all over the news, and the Titans, like big giant things like the Meg and all these. There's just a lot of big stuff, like mountains that are really old Titans, and the giant trees like Devil's Tower that's actually a big. So there's all this Titan stuff going on now, plus the submersible, and you've got Tennessee Titans, which is a double letter, TT, right?
I've always thought that the Tennessee Titans were very overdue for something like a championship. But last year I actually.
TT is 2020, drop the zeros, and you've got 2-2.
Right.
Which you were talking about Kamala, right? With the 2-2?
Uh-huh.
Or is it 2-2 with her? I don't know.
It's the 2-2-2, but it's, But actually, she does have a connection to Tennessee, because I saw that she went to something. She has a friend that's in Nashville, because Nashville's where the Titans are out of. And she has this college friend that's a head of like this college in Tennessee. And she made like this ritual stop there last year. And it was connected to the Tiger year somehow. I can't even remember, but every time I think of Kamala, though, I just think of Tiger, because she comes from India. It's the Tiger, she has that connection, and she goes to this school that was named the Tigers, but it was also connected to the Titans, which again is the T, Tigers, Titans, Tennessee. Yeah. So yeah, I can't remember all that decode I did. I like you. There's so much I forget.
And I was just thinking about Cocaine Bear, the movie, because the true story it's based on, the guy jumped out of the airplane and his lines got tangled, and he crashed. His body crashed in Nashville, I think.
Was that Nashville, really?
I thought it was. It's been a while since I looked that up. So the true story behind Cocaine Bear.
Yeah. I did read that story back when that movie was coming out. I just don't remember it either necessarily. But I know that there was something about him throwing like cocaine out of there, and then he jumped out or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the cocaine itself landed in the Chattanooga
Chattanooga, yeah.
In the forest there.
Right, yeah.
But then they traced the flight path back. Oh, they traced the flight line back from his body that landed, I thought it was Nashville, back, and they found the cocaine in the forest next to the dead bear.
Oh, yeah, they found the bear, yeah. You know, that bear thing could always be a sign, too. In markets, they say you're either bearish or bullish, you know.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, when you're in a bear market, they call it a bear market, where that nothing's going well, everything's going down, or it's, you know, hasn't found a bottom on the chart yet. And then you have the bullish, which, you know, you got the bull, right? But, you know, every time I see that bear thing, I always make sure I connect that to the markets, because they're always using that word, you know.
And the drug smuggler who jumped out of the plane landed in Knoxville.
Knoxville, okay.
Yes, still Tennessee, but not Nashville.
Right, I know that area very well. Actually, I lived in Nashville for. I played music. I played music in Nashville Broadway Street for a few years. So
wow, cool.
It's a good area, to be honest. But you know, it got worse and worse before I even left. I think that was but it's a nice area, and especially once you go to the eastern part and you go to the Blue Ridge Mountains, lots of good stuff there. So. But yeah, I get what you're saying about this Tennessee thing. It's definitely interesting with the Titans, because I think they're long overdue, to be honest. But they couldn't play the Ravens, so it would either have to be the Ravens or the Titans, because they are also in the same division. My thing is, I wonder if they repeat the 2013 Super Bowl that had a power outage in it.
Who played in that one again?
That was the Ravens versus the 49ers.
49ers. Oh, there's San Francisco.
Well, and though that game was known as the Harbaugh Bowl, because the two brothers faced each other.
Oh yeah.
And that was also
San Francisco too, with The Rock, and you know the prison that was out there, The Rock, and a bunch of rock stuff there with San Francisco and Schwartz. You talked about Schwartz, and Schwartz means black in German, so. There's another rock. Yeah,
that's interesting too. Like I've done a lot of looking into San Francisco, because that's where Ripple's based out of too.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And if you drop a rock in water, it makes a big ripple.
Yeah, sure does. It depends on how big of a rock, I guess, but yeah, it does make a big one. But the Golden Gate Bridge is also one of those theories that a lot of people have brought up over the years about something happening there.
Yeah, they put it in all kinds of movies, and that's a GG. You know, it's a double letter, Golden Gate.
Yeah, and Ripple's logo is based off the golden ratio, right?
That's fine,
yeah. Yeah, supposedly, if you can go find their old video, but I think they might have taken it down, but their old video shows how they designed their logo, the Ripple logo, after the golden ratio somehow. And yeah, it was obviously that's because they're in the Golden Gate City, you know, the Golden Gate Bridge, the 49ers, the Gold Rush, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I did a video on Ripple, XRP Ripple, but I just don't remember any of the details, and I didn't have time to like watch it before this. So if anybody's interested, you can find my video. I remember there was something about like they were taking pictures of the sun. Something went up there, and it was way back, like in the 80s sometime. And it had XRP, it had Ripple, like the article had all the stuff in it. It was totally random. It seemed random. I'm sure it's, you know, not.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I watched that video you did.
Yeah.
Wasn't there like a yeah, I remember there was something that back in the 80s that you showed.
Yeah, I was really surprised to find it, because the just one paragraph in the article included XRP and Ripple, and I was like, what?
Well, didn't you bring up the Ripple Grateful Dead song too?
Yes, and that I just looked it up a little while ago. It's 1970, I think. So that would connect to 2026.
Uh-huh. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, the Grateful Dead are a super ritualistic band. I've been thinking about doing a decode just on them at some point.
Have you seen the video for that song? It's amazing. Talk about like every esoteric, everything is in there. All the tarot cards and.
I mean, to be honest, me and my girlfriend, when we met, this was the video we like. I don't want to say drooled over, but I mean, this was the video that we kind of both were connected. Because when I met her, she was watching my channel, and then somehow we connected on Twitter. And she was decoding XRP a lot, and I was decoding all kinds of things, but I was also decoding XRP. And you know, what ended up happening was basically, you know, I met her on Twitter, and then we started talking, and we talked all about this XRP stuff, and then this Ripple video we both already knew about, and then we went back to it, and we could decode that for days because, like you said, every second of that video is nothing but a symbolism.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's a great story with you and your girlfriend too. And you just moved out to Germany?
Well, I didn't move. I can only be out here till August 15th, believe it or not.
Oh no way.
Yep.
That's when your visa expires or something?
Yeah, that's the 90 days I was up.
Oh
man. Yeah, the 90 days is up, and then what's weird about Europe, the EU, you can't go and just leave the country and then come back right away. You have to wait 3 months.
Oh wow. 3 months is long, because I know lots of places are like that. You have to leave and then you can come back, but 3 months is a long time.
I mean, I honestly can't be away from her for 3 months, so I don't know what I'm going to do.
You have to kidnap her and bring her with you. I'm kidding, robots. Golly.
Yeah. Yes, Germans are strict though. You don't want to get caught doing something wrong by them, man. They're you know, if you've never been to Germany, until I came here, I was like, man, Germans. You know, I in a way I love them though, because they're
Sie sind sehr schwer. Sie sind schwer. They're tough. They're strict.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, they definitely are. But you know, there's something good about the way they do things here. And just to live in Germany, you have to pay $200 a month for health insurance.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
But that covers anything that could possibly happen to you. So like if something does happen to you, you can go and they'll fix you, whatever. Right.
They'll fix you.
You don't get, you know, you don't have to go to the hospital and then have to get forked all these bills over the next, you know, 2-3 years for all this stuff.
Lifetimes. Yeah.
So yeah, Germany's cool. And I wish I could, honestly, the buildings here are amazing. I love the architecture here. I love, you know, just the vibe here, you know, and people are actually pretty open. Well, I just talked with her friend today about my decoding stuff, and she's just a normal girl with her baby and one of my girlfriend's friends, and she was completely open to it. So
cool.
Yeah, it's
you should do a walk around sometime and show us some of the architecture.
Oh yeah, actually, you know, I need to do that because you know where I went to the Illuminati founding building. You can't even go in there, and I don't know what they're doing in there, who knows, but right next to it there's this huge cathedral, and I mean it's got all the relics and symbolism you could ever want to see in a cathedral. I mean, it's super crazy in there. And yeah, these are just kind of things you don't see in the United States, at least not in my area.
Right.
So
definitely
but
not.
Yeah. Andrew Carpenter says, good beer, no Bud Light. Yeah, you're right on that. I mean,
Budweiser has the horses.
Yeah. It does.
Back into it.
They always have those commercials with the horses too. Budweiser does. The Super Bowl commercials with what are those horses? Those big horses called?
The Clydesdales. Yeah, they came out at the end of Prohibition as a celebration of the end of Prohibition.
I see. Yeah, and like the beer here though, like my girlfriend's dad, he just drinks all day. he doesn't even like get drunk really, but I mean the beer here is good. I mean, I'll be honest, like Americans don't have the greatest beer, that's for sure. If you come here and you taste it and you drive around and you see all these places where they're making the beer too. And I even visited apparently one of the oldest beer making places in the entire world.
Wow.
And that's in Bavaria.
Beer is made out of hops, and you know what else hops?
A rabbit. Yeah. Perfect segue into the rabbit ear. But yeah,
very cool. We should do this more often, Cody. Because like our stuff just like we bounce off of each other and build, and it like builds a big amazingness.
Yeah, this is I don't get a chance to, you know, This is the first time I've gone live, really. I mean, this is only my second live stream, but I'm glad you hopped on. I'm glad you hopped like a rabbit. Yep. Perfect segue again to the rabbit. But yeah, I was excited when I saw that last night you messaged me and said something about that. I told my girlfriend, yeah, I'd really like to have her on, because like every time I watch your videos, I'm always finding these connections from your stuff. And
yep, me too. Same here. Yeah. I thought I was like, oh, that would be fine, because I wasn't ready to go live today, because yesterday was my last day of work, and I couldn't get prepared in time for my normal Saturday show. But I saw that you were live, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'll probably get some good stuff from him that I can use in my show tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. And then
I wasn't expecting to become a moderator and to be on your show, but that's very cool. So awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like you're a moderator, and like that's I want to add a few more moderators, but I mean, I don't think I'll have too many haters. I don't get too many haters on my channel. I'm kind of blessed.
Yeah, we're both pretty small. That I don't think the haters have really found us yet. So
right. But yeah, I just have a passion for this, and I think people can see that what I do is I like to expose this stuff, and I like to I not only do I like to expose it, but I like to be a treasure hunter of these interesting things, right?
I like that. Yeah, treasure hunter for sure.
Yeah, and you know, it's a lot of people, normal people, like, you know, sometimes even my parents, they know what I do, and they understand the world and how it is, but they're like, you know, that just you're on the computer too much, and you know, but you know, I still go out and get my exercise and my running in, and I enjoy life, but I always have some sort of decode running through my head, though. It's like,
oh yeah, me too. And I'm always asking the dates. What are the dates on that? I'm sorry, when was that?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, my boss made me promise that, because yesterday was my last day, and so she brought me home. She made me promise that I would not just sit here at the computer all the time and go outside.
Right. Yeah. That's so you today or yesterday was your last day?
Yeah, 777 was my last day. I decided, you know, I've been doing this for a year now. I was doing both things for a year, and it's exhausting. And I said, one of them's got to go. So I had to pick the thing that I love, you know?
Well, I'm glad you chose your passion.
Yes, exactly. And she understood that too. So she was upset. Right. You know, she's definitely going to miss me there, but she understood that part of it. You have to follow your passion. So, yeah.
Yeah. And this channel, you know, I took a couple months where I didn't do much, but I needed a bit of a break. But I knew when I came back, I was going to really try to go and just be creative with the channel, try to make some more creative videos, try to get better information. I want to give, for all you in the chat, I really just want to give you guys good information and just also hear you guys' feedback. So, you know, this channel is just about a community of just people sharing openly, and just, you know, it's really awesome when people come together and, you know, they, you know, just share the stuff that they love to do, you know, and a lot of you guys in the chat, you know, and you too, Square Peg, you're all passionate about this, I'm sure. So,
yeah, I think we have brilliant subscribers, you know, they're just geniuses, all of them. And everybody's got a little piece of something to add to the puzzle, which is really cool.
Yeah, and it's always right on time too. I'm a firm believer that everything happens at the exact moment it needs to in this matrix.
I agree.
And it never ceases to amaze me with someone in the chat, just random person, may not even know them. They just come in with the most perfect addition to whatever I'm doing, or your videos, or Rambo's videos, or Zach's videos, or anybody in the community's videos that I watch. I'm a sponge, and when I see it, I just add to it, and you know. And I know you're the same way, so.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard though, because it gets to be too much. Like there are some people who just they just data dump, you know, they just plop on a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh,
and I'm like, I don't even know what to make of all that. Like,
yeah. Some people.
Sometimes I gotta cut myself off. Yeah.
Some people need their own channel, you know.
Yeah. Everybody who's got all that information in their, you know, knocking around in their head. I totally agree, but it's nice to have these collaborations too, because then we're doing it, like building it at the same time together, instead of you've done all of this stuff and you think you've got a package, and then somebody comes along and you're like, how do I fit that in without making a 3-hour video, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And like, I just remember thinking about you, because I know you probably got your start pretty much a lot from Jason, right? On Archaics.
Yes. He's the one that taught me the basics of isometrics.
Right.
And it took many months of emailing back and forth for me to finally get it. And then when I did, it just clicked, and I was like, all right. And his email to me was, that's how you do isometrics. When I finally sent him like, okay, what about this? Did I get it right this time? And he was like, you got it. And I was off and running. So
and that's just amazing too, because we're connected in that. I was probably found Jason even maybe before you did. I found him all the way back when his channel like maybe had 2,000 subscribers. Like, and it was, I don't remember what, it was probably 2021.
Yeah, I found him in like July or August. It was like July of 21, I think. It was just about 2 years ago, yeah. Are you still there? Hello?
You still there?
Oh, yes, I'm still here.
Sorry guys, the stream cut out for a second, so
I wondered, it was suddenly silent. Like, hello?
Yeah, for me too. I was like, where'd she go? But yeah, I was just gonna say that, you know, I probably found Jason around the same time you did, and I was very interested in his research, and you know, and then I found Waters Above right after that, and then I had already found Zach, the original Gematria guy, Zach, and then I just kind of found everyone, you know, kind of in 2021, really, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting that you're because when you made your channel and I first saw you, like you came up on my feed somehow, and I knew immediately that you were connected to Jason because you were doing the isometric. And I know he talked about it, but I didn't learn any of it. And then I was like, oh well, cool. There's people actually using, you know, Jason's work and like coming out and doing their own thing with it. So that was really cool.
I think that the math is the most compelling proof of what, you know, that something's going on here. And I figured if I could use it to make predictions, well, that's huge. You know, it's one thing to see things in retrospect, and it's another thing to be able to actually make a prediction. And it's very much more difficult than looking at things in the past. But it's possible. It's doable. I've done it. I'm up to 17 hits now just since November. So
yeah,
I know
I've seen you hitting stuff. So
yeah. And it was also very difficult for me to learn it based on Jason's videos. I really had to pester him in emails for 4 months. And I said, there's got to be an easier way to get this information across to people that's easier for people to understand and to be able to do it themselves, you know?
Yeah.
So that was my goal, was to, you know, show visuals, and because I think visuals really, really, really help with what I'm doing. You have to see it because it's a phenomenon, you know. So like,
yeah, it's not like, it's not just as straightforward as some of the stuff I do. It's a bit more, and I like that because, you know, I understand that this matrix doesn't really allow you to be so straightforward when you're looking for stuff. You have to kind of understand that there's this mechanism that seems to be moving things around, and you know, that's kind of how I look at it. But like sometimes when I do decodes, I know that when I'm getting to a specific date and I'm seeing all these connections for this date, like straight on connections. Like, for instance, the Shinzo Abe connection that I made yesterday to 8-9, I thought was just like absolutely insane, you know, because, you know, Shinzo Abe, the Japanese prime minister, was assassinated on 7-8 on last year, 2022.
Right.
And if you go if you go the prime number of days forward of 7-8 prime days forward, you land on 8-9, and that's the 78th anniversary of the Japan bombing. So it's like, that's 8-9 again, you know. And then it's like, what are the chances of that? You know, he dies on 7-8, you go 7-8 prime days later, and you land on the 78th anniversary of the same country that the guy was from, you know, the big bombing.
Yeah, and I seem to remember looking something up based on one of your things the other day. I put in the comments something about Japan. Oh yeah, it was like Super Mario Brothers and something else that happened. Oh, a big plane crash, right?
Yeah, the plane crash, I think it was like number 123 or something, right?
Yes, and it was like the second biggest aviation disaster in history. 500 some people died, and it was right in between whatever date, I don't remember now, and the 45 big bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so much that tied to that year too. I mean, you had the Like that was just a huge year. And then later that year, I believe, what did I find? There was so much I found connected to that year. I just can't remember it all right now, unfortunately.
Well, that's all right. And you've been live here for almost 2 hours, so your brain starts to get a little tired after all that too. So
yeah, but it's been exciting for sure. It's been awesome to have. It looks like we still have 44 people hanging around. So
I know,
again, guys,
right on. 44. That's funny.
yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, everyone in the chat, I see X Trouble saying 56 days from Brad Garlinghouse's birthday. Brad Garlinghouse is the CEO of Ripple, so you guys know.
Oh, okay.
Said weeks, not months, is 201 on 524. Okay, I see what he's saying. Interesting. Angel Baby is awake, is in the chat. I remember her from Zach's channel. Hello, guys. And yeah, Andrew Carpenter, he's a commenter. He comments a lot. And Alice in Wonderland's in the chat, of course.
Yeah, she's one of my mods.
Hey, oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, hello, Alice. Welcome to the channel.
And I noticed that Brad, BG, or his initials, BG, and that's 27. So that goes back to 1944 plus 27 is 1971. Plus 27 brings us to the major flip date, 98. Plus another 27 is 2025.
Interesting, because Ripple equals 27 in Chaldean. Which is a very accurate cipher, I find. And also currency equals 27. So Ripple is trying to fight to become a currency, right? And they both have that 27. Jupiter also equals 27 in Chaldean. And what's interesting about this XRP lawsuit is it was put out on one day after the Great Conjunction, the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. And it was definitely related to that Jupiter ritual. I think XRP was being ritualized as a Jupiter connection, and Saturn was kind of winning because Bitcoin is like Saturn. Satoshi Nakamoto makes Saturn, sats, for Bitcoin.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely interesting with the 27 that leads to 2025, because that would technically be 2025 would technically be, if you're just going based off the charts and you're not going based off of any kind of outside hype. If you're just going based off the charts, 2025 would be the next bull run for crypto, which means XRP would probably have its big year that year. Whether it comes before this event or that maybe it may come that year or after, I don't know. There's always this thing in the XRP community that the only way that XRP can go up is once the banks get cyber attacked and the power goes out, and then when the system comes back on, supposedly XRP and the rest of the crypto that are involved are supposed to be used. I don't know. But that's just kind of a theory thing. I don't know if that's exactly how it'll play out.
Sure.
But, that's what these people that invest in XRP hope for, right? They hope it goes from 20 or 50, what's it at right now, like 47 cents to $100,000, which I don't think is possible. But
the Federal Securities Act was 1933, 90 years ago, and it was signed on the same day as the Disney short film Three Little Pigs.
Huh.
Three Little Pigs. What day was that? I forget now when that. Because I did a Three Little Pigs, huff and puff and blow your housing market down.
Yeah.
Because you've got all these dates that are connected to this year with the Little Pigs. When it was first published, and the short film from Disney, and then you've got the song by Green Jelly, Three Little Pigs. And then in 2013, which is another year that ends in 3, they all end in 3, The Wolf of Wall Street came out in 2013. So it's the wolf that's going to blow all the housing market down.
Perfect. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, it all connects to this year. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, that's interesting because I never really thought about the Three Little Pigs and the wolf, but the Wolf of Wall Street, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just wonder how it's all going to play out. In what order things are going to happen, but it'll definitely be interesting. That's for sure.
So it was signed on May 27th of 1933, the Federal Securities Act.
May 27th. That would be the
Another 27.
147th day of the year. I think.
No. Oh yeah, maybe. Yep. 27 is this year. It's the 147th day. Yep.
Man, I'm getting good at that. I
I always have to look it up. Yeah, you are getting good at that.
I mean, the only reason that one was actually easier is because I know that JFK's birthday is 5/29, and that's the 149 day.
Okay.
So you just go 2 back, and the 147 is interesting too because there's, I believe, President of the United States equals 147, and I think there's like 147 windows on the White House or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it is, but
that's funny.
There's something that I know Zach from Gematria Effect News always says with the 147 in the White House, but it's passing me by right now. What was interesting, the DeMar Hamlin thing that happened this year?
Yes.
Well,
Buffalo Bills, another double letter.
Right. Well, that was all tied to money. That was foreshadowing the bank collapses, I think, but then also I think it's leading to something more, obviously later down, but the whole thing with that was tied to the rabbit as well, because Waters Above put out a huge decode on that because that happened on 1-2, right? And rabbit equals 1-2 in Gematria and Chaldean, and collapse. He basically collapsed. It was connected to the 37, which is the 12th prime, and then somehow it connects to that. But anyway, DeMar Hamlin was knocked out by number 85. And he was number 3. So 85, 853 is the 147th prime. So 85 hits number 3. That's 853, and that's the 147. That just ties to the whole thing with that 147. But yeah.
And when did Tom Brady retire again? Wasn't that
2-1, 1-2?
2-1. Okay.
Just like his numbers 1-2.
Right, because you just said that the DeMar Hamlin thing happened on 1-2, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 21 is Saturn?
Right, yep.
It's interesting that you're talking about Saturn and Jupiter having a battle, because I've been talking about Pisces and Aquarius having a battle.
Well, yeah, right, because you're talking about like the Age of Aquarius thing, right?
Yeah, and that's got horses or dolphins. I can't remember now. Pisces and well, one of them is an air sign and one of them is a water sign.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you have like the ritual, like 2001. That ritual was all up in the air, versus a watery event like Fukushima. That's Pisces fighting and then Aquarius fighting. Like air.
Yeah.
And water.
Are you familiar with Decode Your Reality? He's connected with Waters Above.
Logan? Yeah.
Yeah, Logan.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about this Age of Aquarius and that, the Jesus thing with his last videos that he's made about it. And it involves XRP. He talked about it. Because Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, right? Uranus. And U is the 21st letter, right? And but in Gematria and Chaldean, which is the main cipher he uses, is Uranus equals 23. And Uranus is the sky god, and he's going up against, of course, the Neptune, which is the water, right? The sky versus the water. And what happened in this NBA Finals this year was interesting because you had the Denver team that they're up in the high altitude, the sky, and they beat the Miami team that's by the water.
Oh yeah.
And I made a video about this and how it was connected to Uranus and Neptune.
And we've got Denver Broncos, which are horses, and the Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
And both of those are Poseidon.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. And actually, if you type in Denver too, it has a connection to both Neptune and Uranus. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes things aren't so black and white, like there's this mixture of things, and you can't really sometimes figure it out because there's the numbers are so close with these two also, because if you type in Uranus, it equals 94. If you type in Neptune, it equals 95. So it's like, and they have some matches in some ciphers, I believe. So it's really interesting. But the whole 9/11 thing, I believe, was also, you know, a sky god, Uranus, knocking down the towers, right?
Yeah.
And the tridents, as Rambo,
it's all over those buildings, wasn't it? The trident image.
Yeah, and Rambo showed that all kinds of times in his videos where the tridents got knocked down by the planes, right? The sky knocks the trident down.
Yeah.
And I think that's where this Russia-Ukraine thing is also tied, because Russia is north, right? It's up north. It's like I mean, I consider Russia like the northern country, like I don't even know how to explain it, but like the highest point on the, right.
On the map.
It's like the northernmost country, you know, there is. And I mean, as far as like the big countries, and you know, it's attacking its southern enemy, which is the trident, which is the water, right? And I just think that's also tied to this Uranus versus Neptune thing that's going on, you know. And it's obvious in my decode I just showed on this video today that this NATO thing is all about paying tribute to Neptune. And you know, because I don't know what they're going to do with Ukraine there, but it's obvious that that's the reason Ukraine wants to be recognized. And WWE is doing the same exact thing right now as this Ukraine thing, because right now, Roman Reigns' cousin, Jey Uso, is rebelling against him. And Jey Uso matches Neptune. So, and I think Jey Uso is also a play on Jesus, because if you actually take out Jey and you Jesus, Jey's Uso, so it's interesting. But yeah, I'm a big WWE like decoder. I love decoding WWE, but a lot of people don't follow
lots of material. They're so over the top with their characterizations and stuff. There's a lot of material there.
I mean, yeah, Roman Reigns is the most obvious thing in the entire world, in my opinion.
Right.
I mean, and he has the freak spider. He has the freaking spider as his symbol too. I just realized, like the Spider-Man symbol.
Also, I always thought about Reigns as in, you know, the king reigning over his kingdom, but also, how do you steer a horse?
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It just occurred to me.
That's a good. Yeah, I have to think about that when it comes to this Roman Reigns thing.
Yeah, put some horses in there and see what comes out. Poseidon, you know, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. You always hitting me at the right spot, because I never will.
I know, sometimes it's too much, and you don't have to take everything. You know, like at some point you can just cut it off and say, "Okay, now my brain can't handle anymore."
Yeah, I would say it if it was, but yeah, that one was a good ad, because I didn't even think about that when it comes to.
Didn't either. Yeah, pretty cool.
Because Roman Reigns is like he's steering the horse of the whole company of WWE right now. He's like the main attraction, right? So
right,
like there's so much. Roman Reigns is so symbolized, and the fact that he's a Gemini, right?
Oh.
And he had, for so long, he had two twin titles, right? He won 2 titles, and he had 2 twin titles, and he's a twin, and he has twin cousins.
And he's got the RR, so that's like the twin number letters.
Yeah,
you know?
He's absolutely twin all over. It's ridiculous.
And that's, you know, Gemini, but also I was thinking about that goat cartoon again, because the 2 at the end is not a 2, it's a Gemini.
Right, yeah.
I always thought it was 2, and everybody calls it 2 at the end of the title there. But when you see it drawn there, you're like, wait a minute, that's not a 2. Like a Roman 2, it's the sign of Gemini. Or maybe it's both, you know, I suppose.
Yeah, and even his symbol has the RR in it, but it looks like a spider, right? Because it takes 2 R's in the symbol, and it turns it into like this Spider-Man symbol, which is just, I thought was intriguing. But because Spider-Man equals 99.
Oh, no.
And yeah, and then there was that spider on the Queen's casket last year, remember?
No, I didn't remember that, but I know that it was in a music video of somebody's.
Well, that was Rambo's video he made about the spider on the casket and how it was tied to the song by Billie Eilish called
Billie Eilish, yeah.
You Should See Me in a Crown.
Yep.
And yeah, that was.
I must have seen his video because that's where I got that from. Yeah, I just couldn't remember the artist. I thought it was Lady Gaga, but it was Billie Eilish.
But yeah, there's so much there's so much to talk about. But I don't want to keep you on if you don't want to be too long.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get going. It's been a couple hours, and I got stuff I gotta get done. So.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll do this again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a super awesome to finally get to actually chat with you, and we'll definitely plan another one, and maybe we'll actually have an actual topic that we can come together and talk about.
Yeah, we'll plan it in advance, and then we'll have all of our data lined up and ready to go and stuff. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I will look forward to that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah,
totally cool, and thanks to all my subscribers who joined in. I haven't been watching the chat. I've been like looking things up and whatever. So
right.
I know that Alice is here. I saw her and Beth, and cool.
Yeah. Yep, that sounds good. Hope you have a good night over there. I don't know what time it is, but hopefully it's not too late for you.
No, it's good. Thank you.
All right, see you later.
See ya.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. All of you guys in the chat, it's 1:41 a.m. here in Germany, so that's the pi number. Might be time for me to head off too. And anyone who did not catch my original decode to start, you can go back and watch the presentation on the video if you like. And again, I just want to give a big thank you to all of you guys for coming by and watching my second live stream ever. And hopefully these live streams get better and better. And one day I'll get a better computer so I can actually have a camera where you can see me. But yeah, anyone in the chat, let me see who else is still in the chat here. Dion, thank you, brother. Love you. Adam, thank you. Edward, nice to see you as well. Dana, Alice, Anne, and Beth, I see. And a big shout out to Square Peg for coming on. She's great. Go check out her channel, Square Peg Divergent, on YouTube. And we'll be doing more of these, guys, more collabs. If anyone else wants to ever get on here and talk, absolutely free to join on our next live streams. So yeah, if anyone has any last words, I'll get off here in about 2 minutes and we'll call it a night. Hello, Max Lowe in the chat. Beth, good to see both of you. Thank you for the subscribe, Beth. So yeah, I think that's it. It seems like everyone's probably ready to be done. So we'll end the stream. Anyways, guys, thank you for stopping by. This is Decoding with Cody. I'll probably be doing another live stream in the next few days, so be ready for that if you guys would like to join that as well. And if you guys have information you want to share, anyone's free to come on these live streams and share. So anyways, guys, good night from Germany. And thank you again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Many blessings to you all. God bless.